Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Renewable English Series 2. Now, I'm trying out these captions here below to see how they go. They're live, so they might be a little bit interesting, but they could help anyway. So, how are you? Long time no see. I hope you had an excellent summer. Mine was okay. Very, very warm. But good nonetheless. So, the new season, the new series, what's it all about? As you may have seen from my endless posting on social media, the second series, as was demanded by many people, is all about the Sustainable Development Goals, the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Now, before we go into that, I am just going to remind you, you can check us out on the website. You might be watching here on YouTube. And of course, jump on social media, give us a follow, and get all of the materials we produce throughout the week right at your fingertips. So then, SDGs. There's a lot about the SDGs nowadays, aren't there? Lots of people talking about them, which is strange because they've been around for 6 years now. So, what are the SDGs? Here's what it says on the United Nations website. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015, provides a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet, now and into the future. Now there's a really good tongue twister for you in the class. At its heart are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, which are an urgent call to action by all countries, developed and developing. So the key here is it's a global partnership. It's everybody. They recognise that ending poverty and other deprivations must go hand in hand with strategies to improve health and education, reduce inequality and spur economic growth, all while tackling climate change and working to preserve our oceans and forests. So that's what the UN say. Let's have a quick look over here. Oh, that's in my face, isn't it? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to quickly get out of here. I'm going to move over here and have a look. So these are the 17 goals, as you can see. Each one is broken down into targets as well. There are a total of 169 targets. So in this series, we will be going through one by one to look at each of the different goals. But something you will notice, a lot of the goals are very interlinked. So responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water. You can think about all of that when you're thinking of single-use plastic, not to mention life on land. No poverty and no hunger obviously go hand in hand, and there are so many other areas that are interlinked throughout this course and throughout the Sustainable Development Goals. So, that's those. What are we talking about today? Number 1. It's the first episode in the series, Harry. Of course we're talking about number 1, obviously. And that is no poverty. And now what they say on the website, when you click on the goal, it says end poverty in all its forms everywhere. That's a big goal to start with. Number 1 to start with, to end poverty with all its goals everywhere. And we'll look at the breakdown of this in a minute. I watched an amazing video from Hippie in a Suit, which is great at breaking down the different goals, and they go into much more detail if you'd like that. So check out Hippie in a Suit. Her videos are fantastic. And in there, it's got some ideas looking more deeply as well at the SDGs. But what I want to say now, what is poverty? Hi there, Inaya. Nice to see you. I can see you've just mentioned in the chat. Sorry, I looked across at the chat. I've been so involved with this. Lovely to see you, Inaya. Hi there, Ritik. Lovely to see you as well. Great to see you tuning in from India. A live classes legend there. In fact, he finished top of the leaderboard in the live classes group last month, so very good. It is a big goal, and as you say, it is achievable if we try. But first, we need to look at what is poverty. Now, a lot of people think poverty are people who are starving really far away. Well, it's a bit more than just that. Poverty it's also about poor healthcare, lack of education, disempowerment, vulnerability to climate change. There are lots of different areas when you think about poverty. Now, when you look at the world in general, there is a poverty line. Now, when they wrote the goals, the poverty line was $1.25 a day. That's moved slightly. We'll look at this in the vocab section shortly. But up until before the pandemic, poverty had been falling for over 20 years, and only 1 in 10 people lived below that $1, in fact $1.90 a day. COVID's put a spanner in the works, as we might say. It's made things more difficult, and up to 500 million more people, so up to 8% more people of the planet, have gone back into this extreme poverty. So that's the kind of extreme line of it. But when we look at people living on under $10 a day, now think about that, $10 a day. If you have a mortgage, you're already paying probably $40 or $50 a day minimum. Your rent will be $40 or $50 a day minimum. But 2/3 of the planet, 2/3 live on under $10 a day. Under $10 a day. That is the area we need to really work on. And the great thing about these SDGs is they are between different countries, so we can work together, but we can also focus on those areas within the countries we live in. So we'll have a quick look at the breakdown of this SDG. Oh, what's he doing? So as I mentioned, there are, within each goal, there are targets. There are 7 targets within SDG 1. There are 7, 5 of them are what we're trying to achieve, and 2 of them are how we're going to achieve it. Now again, I took this graphic, I borrowed this graphic from the hippie in a suit. Go out, check out her videos. So the first and foremost is no extreme poverty, so less than $1.90 a day. It was about 10% of the population before the COVID pandemic. That has changed, and it's probably around 18% now. So reduced by half national levels of poverty. So now we're looking within different countries. Now obviously poverty is different in different countries. In the United States, for example, around $12,880 a year is enough for one person to live outside of poverty. Whereas if you go to Canada, it's $18,771 per person to live outside of poverty. We also talk about social protection, access to basic services, tenure, financial services and technology, and building resilience, reducing risk to shock disasters. How are they going to do that? How are we going to do that? With financing and aid and pro-poor and gender-sensitive policy. Hi there, Anna. Nice to see you. No worries for coming late. We're just going over the goals right now. Lovely of you to join us. So as I say, these are the kind of specifics to the goals. Now, we're going to look at a more general term to this. So let's continue with our quote this week. And it's from the former UN Secretary General, Ban Ki-moon. And it says, as you can see over there, saving our planet, lifting people out of poverty, advancing economic growth, these are one and the same fight. So it's not, we have to help poor people. We have to make more money. We have to save the planet. Everything is interconnected. They all work together. So once we realize this, once we start to try and achieve this, we can make those big steps towards these goals. Now we can do things ourselves on a smaller scale. We can help others. We can be there to help people. We can donate to charity. We'll look at some tips a bit later on. But of course, we have to look at our governments and we have to really encourage them to try and make a difference. So let's have a look at some vocabulary. What is poverty? What is poverty? I just noticed in the captions there, some of them are quite interesting. So, what is poverty? Now, the way I've looked at this, I've gone for the dictionary definition. It's the state of one who lacks a usual or socially acceptable amount of money or material possessions. But it's not just that, is it? It's a lack of education, or a lack of quality education that is available. It's a lack of empowerment. It's so many different aspects of a person's life. Now, extreme poverty, on the other hand, is one that has severe deprivation. So, lack of food, safe drinking water, sanitation facilities, shelter, then education and information as well. And the international poverty line, as I mentioned before, it was moved recently. I'm going to move the captions to just here so we can see what the international poverty line is. So it's the amount of money an individual needs to be considered to be living in poverty. Is currently $1.90 a day. $1.90 a day. Now I'd like you to think just for one moment, what can you buy with $1.90 a day? Throw it in the chat box. What do you think we can buy with $1.90 every day? And could you live on $1.90 every day? Would that be possible? I'm thinking, how do we buy food? If you drive somewhere, that's not enough to get you from one end of the street to another. Clothes, water, electricity, rent, all of these issues we have. It does, Anna. It has a very substantial impact on many realms. You're absolutely correct. So, this is some of the important vocabulary for today. Now remember, it's in the worksheet that's at the top of the chat box. So feel free to download that. You can also find it on the website, renewableenglish.com, and just go to lessons and materials. It's all there. I just saw that said dog calm instead of .com. Always nice that. So you can download that, you can use it with your classes. The videos are also obviously all recorded. And Series 1 has been put into a flip book with all of the videos there available as well, if you want to go back and use it. Now, however, I'm going to hand over to my good friend, Unfun Frank, and he's going to give us some of his Unfun Facts. So, what is he going to talk about? He's going to talk about Unfun Facts! And here he is with his video.
Hello everybody, it's me again, Unfun Frank. Now, I was hoping that this year I could be a bit more fun. So on Fridays, I'm going to be bringing you a songversation on the Instagram page. So feel free to join us there. But my facts I'm afraid, are still very unfun. Welcome back to Series 2, these unfun facts on the Sustainable Development Goal number 1, no poverty. So, about a quarter of humanity, so 1.6 billion people, live without electricity. No lights, no electricity. 71% of the population still live in low income, so that's under $10 a day. $10 a day. Now the next unfun fact is quite a shocking one, that a frappuccino in a popular coffee restaurant at about $3 is more than the average income of people in the developing world. And the last unfun fact there for today is that 12% of the world that uses 85% of its water, they don't live in developing countries. And if you look closely over there, you can see that I've made a little bit of a grammar error in my infographic. And it says, do not live in a developing countries. No, they do not live in developing countries or a developing country. You see, even Unfun Frank makes mistakes. Well, I'll see you tomorrow for a songversation, and then I'll be back next week for more Unfun Facts.
So, Unfun Frank will be back again tomorrow, as he mentioned there on Renewable English Instagram. He will be back with a songversation, which will be a little more light-hearted than his Unfun Facts. Maybe he'll even be Fun Frank. So, let's see if the facts are true or if they're false. That's the wrong page. They've gone somewhere. So, true or false? True or false? The minority of people on the planet, have working electricity. The minority. What do you think? True or false? Hey, I changed my hat. Good spot there, Anna. Well done. So what do we think? The minority of people don't have electricity. We'll have a look and reveal now.
Hello everybody,
So
it's me again, Unfun Frank.
So
I was hoping...
It is a minority, but it is still a very large amount of people. It is still a very large amount of people. Okay. 2/3 of people on the planet live on less than $10 a day. 2/3. What do you think? Is it true or false? You can put it in the chat box. It is. 2/3 is true. It's 2/3 of people. Around 2/3 of people live on less than $10 a day. And the last question. Most of the water is used by the developing world. Most of the water is used by the developing world. Good, Anna. Number 2 was true. Number 1 was false. And what do we think about number 3? Number 3, not numbers to read. This captioning is very interesting. So, do developing countries use the most water? I think that one is quite obviously false. It's quite obviously false. The most water is used by developed countries, not developing countries. 12% of the world uses 85% of the water. 12% uses 85%. And it's just shocking to think about. If you look back to series 1, we talked all about water waste and just some of the ways we use it, and also in the Pearson and BBC Studios Speak Up for Sustainability, we recently talked about water waste, and we looked at the amount that's used for clothes and things like that. So it's so easy for the developed world to just use water without even thinking. You know, you buy a new shirt, you buy new trousers, you're using water. And it doesn't matter. It's quite easy to make a mistake there. Developing, developed, it sounds very similar. Everybody makes mistakes. Trust me. You saw in the Unfun Facts before, I made a little typo in there. Oh, sorry, it wasn't me. It was Unfun Frank that made the mistake. Now, if you've had a look at the worksheet, you will see that we have got some super special guests here. I have shared the interview in full on the YouTube page, or the YouTube channel, sorry. So please do go there and check it out. They're two incredible humans, absolutely wonderful humans who do so much. Every day I check them out on Instagram and they're doing something else wonderful for people, for the planet. I know Inaya's met them online, obviously, but we're going to have a look at the interview now. I'm not going to introduce them because they introduced themselves. So let's move over to the interview and get ready for some questions afterwards. Hello and welcome everybody. We're here for our first interview of the second series, and I have got two incredible guests. I'm not going to tell you about them. I'm going to hand over to them and let them tell you all about themselves. So ladies, thank you very much.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be here. I'm Shreya Venkat. I'm 18 years old, and I am a sophomore at Georgetown University, majoring in global health.
And I'm Isha Venkat. I'm 15 years old, and I'm a junior at Broadway High School. And we both are the founders of a nonprofit called Nest for Us, which we formed as a philanthropic platform built upon kindness, generosity, and social good.
So what can we do to prevent poverty at home and around the world?
And the biggest one, I think, for us is really providing those essential resources and services for people in poverty, which is some of the stuff that we do every day. So like in terms of food, you can like serve meals to the hungry, donate to different food pantries, assemble different food bags. Like we have service projects for us where we pack like different sandwich bags and like treat bags and all sorts of things like that. Rice bags, exactly. So that's a great way to help people who may not have access to food, which is a huge part about No Poverty as well. But there's also helping during crises like the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, like providing masks, hand sanitizer, gloves, like PPE, which is like personal protective equipment. Those are all great ways to support people, because a lot of the times there's people who are on the streets or who are living or just waiting for these sort of supplies to keep themselves safe. So that's a super easy way to like go grab some masks at the store, give them to people that you see. So and then in terms of education, like you were saying, school supplies, even in our county, like we live in the richest county in America. And it's still so crazy to think that there's so many people who are living in poverty, even in our own schools and across our communities. So school supplies is a huge thing, even providing like those books and academic resources and things like that, and tutoring and teaching people in need, like what you do. Those are all amazing ways to help, even if it's just one book, one pencil, like that still makes a huge difference.
Yeah, so those are all amazing ways to individual, but for the larger scale, looking at the larger scale, what can we do as a society? Of course, one of the best ways that we all can do to prevent poverty is spreading awareness, like Isha was saying. That is something that all of us can do, regardless of wherever we're in the world. And that taking that first step to get the word out there about not only the issue at hand, right, but more importantly, the solutions that people can implement in their own communities. Mm-hmm. That can lead to eventual magnified change. And in addition to this, some tools people can utilize to prevent poverty on a larger scale include increased administration of continued quality educations, that education component, right? The equitable access of quality healthcare, that is becoming extremely important, especially in the current day and age.
Yeah.
Improved means of accessing clean water and sanitation. Again, super, super important, especially with the climate report coming out, right? We all want to make sure that we're doing our part, our individual part. And if we all do our individual part, that's going to help on a larger scale as well.
What you're doing is amazing. Keep doing it, and thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for the
thank
opportunity
you.
and for those kind words. It's an honor to be here and really to be able to, again, share our story and spread awareness and hopefully inspire even just one person.
So, as I mentioned, do go and check out the full interview. But the problem with this is I had to cut the interview down, so there's so much wonderful information in there that you just didn't get. So hop over to the YouTube channel, check out the full interview. Though they are such wonderful humans. Give them a follow. Oh, this side, that's where it is. I always get confused and go the wrong way. So let's have a look at some questions. Question number 1. How old are they? How old are the Venkat sisters? They are amazing ladies, you're right. I think I need to, hang on a minute, can I just, there we go, if I go, whoa, double me, if I go here, there we go. How old? 1, 2, or 3? So I'm right next to the questions. They said it right at the start of the video. And as you can see, if you've got your worksheet open, you can see it on there. Again, if you're using this later with your classes, be sure to have a look at the worksheet there. What do you think? 1, 2, or 3? I'll put you out of your misery very shortly. They are... It's number 3. Very good, everybody. It's number 3. They're 15 and 18 years old. Question number 2. Oh. I just need to move out of the way here. If you need to go back for the answers, you can go back. If you're watching back, you can watch the video again and you can see where the answers are there. Okay, let's go to question number 3 now. I'm in the way again. Let's go over here. So Isha mentions the biggest things is providing. Do you remember? It was... Now she does mention all of these different things in the video, so it's a bit of a trick, but one of the biggest things she says are essential resources. Now a lot of those things come under that bracket. Food, for example, is an essential resource. Next question is number 4. Now PPE is something we've all heard a lot about in recent years. Am I right? Am I right? PPE. So, is PPE protection priority everyone, personal protective equipment, or people, places, everything? I think Anna's jumped in straight away with the answer. She's got number 2, which looks fantastic. It is personal protective equipment. I hope everybody has been wearing their masks. And not just where the government says you have to, but just to be respectful to others as well. And the last question, let's see if my face is in the wrong place again. It is. I'm always in the wrong place. So the 3 areas that Shreya mentioned, we need to, I'm going to move that, need to be looked at on a larger scale. Increased administration of continued, equitable access to, and access to clean, and So as we're coming to the end of the lesson, I'm going to go quickly through that. If you need to pause it to write your answers, you can pause it if you're watching back. Otherwise, we've got quality education, so quality healthcare. Number 2, equitable access. So everybody, the equality, so everybody having access to quality healthcare, not just the few, but for the many. And then access to clean water and sanitation. Now, just before we finish the class, I am going to hand you over to our top tipper. You may have seen this video this week, but there are some top tips here. And I want you to think about your top tips to put them into the chat box either while you're watching or when you've finished. So, I'm going to click over now.
Hello and welcome to Series 2 of Ali's Top Tips. Why not buy some things from a charity shop? Raise awareness with your friends and family. This is important as money. Volunteer to help those in need. Support charities and organisations like Nest for Us. Donate clothes and supplies to those who need it. Thanks for watching. Bye.
There we go. Oh, there we go. I didn't even realise it was so fast over in a flash. So, do you have any top tips to help? Or are any of those tips you thought, hadn't thought of that? How can we help with the SDG goal number 1 of no poverty? Well, Ritik's catching up there, I see. He's obviously a little bit back there and he's catching up, and I can see his 15 to 18 is the perfect answer. He's very good. So, what are your top tips? What do you have to give advice for? By all means, throw it in the chat box, put it in the comments below if you're watching back, but also, please do get in touch on social media, which has disappeared, which is nice. My YouTube page is still here, so that's all right. Get in touch on social media on Renewable English. I'm going to squidge up to the first page because I know on there they were all working perfectly. So up here, Renewable English, we are on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're also on Twitter. So please do share your top tips there. Use the hashtag Renewable English, or Ali's Top Tips is another one as well. But also remember, this is of course a completely free course. It is for you, it is for anyone, it is in fact for everyone. If you would like to make a donation, feel free. I don't push this. It is something I would like to, I'd like to keep Renewable English free for as long as possible. Yes, we can share our excessive things. Very good, Anna. That is a very good point. So as I mentioned, please do go to coffee.com, Renewable English. Everything here is absolutely free. All of the materials are free. The lessons are free. If you get in touch with me, we'll speak as well. We do have some in-school classes that we can do, some workshops for teachers, and we do also have a training course. Those last 2 bits aren't free. But everything you see here, everything on the website is completely free. It's done in my free time. If you'd like to give a donation, that would be amazing. That would be incredible. It would be very, very helpful, that's for sure. Help pay the bills and the subscriptions. But that is it from me. Until next week, when we're going to be looking at the Sustainable Development Goal number 2, which is, of course, no hunger. We'll be back next week. And of course, check out Instagram tomorrow for Unfun Frank doing Songversations. Stay tuned for Pearson and BBC Speak Up for Sustainability next Friday after the climate strike. We do have our final live lesson of the series, which is all about deforestation. And hopefully this week as well, we have our youth activist on Instagram Live. But that's for something completely different. So I'm going to leave you guys alone now. Thank you very much for being here with me. You're going to see the bottom go a bit weird now because I have to switch over and I have to disconnect from YouTube. So I'm going to get rid of the captions and say thank you very much, everybody. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you next week.